Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got some special guests joining us today. From Nest Seekers, we have Sara Golan. Did I say that right?
Sara Golan.
That's what I said. And also from Selling Hamptons, we have Bianca and Mia. Good morning.
Good morning.
You didn't want to do their last names?
Nope, I wasn't messing up
No,
their
I
last
knew
name.
it.
I'm special already.
I noticed that you skipped over our last name.
Well, welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Your
Thanks for
show,
having
you're
us.
actually selling real estate.
We
We
are
do.
actually
We
selling real
actually
estate.
do sell a lot.
Now, how many houses did y'all sell on the season one?
So I sold a house and we did a big rental.
Yeah.
Season one.
And then what about the other
But I think-
other agents on there? Yes, because
I
I see
think altogether on
Yeah.
the show, it's probably almost 10 of the homes that we
10
filmed
homes.
actually
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
filmed
In the
and actually
Hamptons.
closed.
Yeah.
So
All of the homes were closed.
Now I got
Yeah.
attacked a couple of months ago.
Oh, God. That's so personal.
I got attacked
I know where you're
and
going.
thrown under a bus
oh,
because I seen one of the shows and I was like, I didn't see them selling houses.
Selling
I seen
Tampa?
more drama.
Selling
Yeah.
Selling Tampa, and I was like, I just don't like the
Shoot it
way the
straight.
women were depicted because it was about drama. It was about your hair is this, your eyes are this, your feet look like this, and it wasn't selling real estate.
estate.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's very difficult for women to get in the industry,
yes.
especially minority women, and I wanted to see more of that. So how much control do you guys have when it comes to actually selling real estate opposed to the drama?
I think what was very important for us prior to being on the show was to make sure that we were on a show that was real estate focused. We're very, very serious and successful in our businesses. The show was just an addition to accompany that to reach a different audience and a much wider platform. So drama, of course, is always going to be in the back end because it's one of the most competitive industries. But we wanted to make sure that we're transacting. And so that was the focus of the show. And the drama that revolves around the deals that came with it was all natural. But
It is
making sure-
dramatic.
It is. There's
Already.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's intense. You're talking
There's a
about a
lot
lot
of
of
egos.
money. It's a
Yeah.
lot of egos, but
A
you're
lot of
talking
money.
about huge commissions, right? So there's going to be some drama regardless.
Yep.
All right, and so it's interesting because there's 3 people from your show that were on $1 Million Beach House. Now, $1 Million Beach House, people had a lot of issues with that show because it was very white male oriented.
It was only white male oriented. When I
Wasn't
watched
there
it.
one? I'm not sure.
I
There's
don't remember.
there's Peggy.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
Peggy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So for you guys to have this show, which I felt was a lot more diverse.
Yep.
You know, and in the Hamptons, which by the way is such a competitive market, right?
Very competitive.
Especially right now during the pandemic. So I thought that was great to see you guys in these powerful positions. Now, one thing you did on the show was you put together this whole like kind of a tour for people to come up and look at these homes. So can you explain the thinking behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. That was Bianca. Bianca did a Hampton showcase.
So also it's bridging, our markets, which are New York City and the Hamptons and additional markets that we're in. But we wanted to focus on bringing our city buyers to the Hamptons because that's naturally where they're traveling back and forth from. So we worked with a group of buyers who all had similar criteria, similar budgets and home types they were looking for, and put together this tour over an extended period of time and made sure that all the buyers would have similar interests, so they could talk about. A few of them were in crypto, so those conversations could flow naturally with the real estate as the backdrop. And again, making a very friendly environment feel a little bit more competitive because there's limited inventory, there's a lot of buyers, and the homes aren't going to last long. So it had multiple purposes for setting us up for a really awesome, very different event because you don't shop.
Feels like a
other
no-brainer
people,
too.
right?
It's amazing they never thought to do something like that before.
It was a lot of fun, and it was very well received, and all of the homes on that tour sold.
I wanted to ask for all of you. We can start with you, Sara.
And I just want to say before you say anything else, Sara is actually my realtor.
Yes.
And so I purchased 3 homes from Sara in Brooklyn
She
alone.
found the juice bar too, right?
No, that was
Oh,
the
sorry.
coffee shop.
The coffee
Yeah, the
shop.
which
coffee
we
shop
found
also.
during COVID.
That's right.
And now we're Nest Seekers and Cup, Angela's coffee venture.
together in one space.
In one space. It's gorgeous.
amazing.
So I was going to ask,
Yeah.
how did each one of you get into real estate? What made you fall in love with it? What made you want to do it? We'll start with you, Sara.
I started in real estate very early on. I was 19 years old, and I interviewed for a real estate company in Queens. So I was an assistant in a construction real estate company. We owned our own inventory. We sold our own inventory. And I wasn't even in sales. I was just and admin. And so the experience I got there and then moving on to the mortgage business, like real estate is always in the back of my head. Sales came about 10 years ago when we opened an office in Bushwick, and I was watching agents just burn through leads. And I picked up the phone and just started cold calling people. Hey, you call us, we have a new set of houses coming up on the market. Like, just come in and take a look. And I started booking appointments. I'm like, you know what? I could show houses. Let me go out there and just push myself further into it. And before I know it, I'm like closing deals on my own. And it just took off from there.
Now, what about you, Bianca?
I was initially traveling for a very long time. And as I was traveling, I was doing different leadership development and studying different cultures and communication styles. And eventually I wanted to come back to the city. And I figured, I'll get my real estate license while I'm traveling. Well, day one back in New York, I got hired at one of the top brokerages.
Hey.
And then it's just been a crazy ride since then. My career, when I started, was totally different from what it is now. But what I love about real estate is there's so many, it's such a big industry, and there's so many different paths to be successful. And my motto has always been just say yes to everything and figure it out later. And through that, so many doors have opened, and it's been really exciting to see the new ventures that come and opportunities that arise.
And you, Mia?
I had a completely different route. Yeah. So I did. I was working in nightlife for years, but I was just tired. I'm like, I don't want to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It gets exhausting
What's wrong with
after
being
a
up
while.
at 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, that's when we get up.
Wait a minute.
What's wrong with being up at 4 o'clock in the morning?
No, we're waking up, though. We're just waking up.
I was
We're not
going to bed.
sleep.
I was going to bed at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and it just
Don't
became
shame us.
exhausting.
But I did. Don't shade us, but go ahead.
No, I love that. I mean,
We can
you have
mess
a
with
little baby. You're up anyway, right? So
Don't shade us. But go ahead. So,
So I was exhausted, and I wanted to change. Like it happens. I think now today people go through different careers in their life, and that's okay. You don't have to just stick to one thing. And I was looking, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And my brother was working in real estate for years, and I thought, I love architecture, I love design. I've been all over the world and stayed at incredible hotels, and I've just always been interested in that. And so it just felt like a really natural progression. But it was scary. Doing something new is very scary. But like Bianca said, say yes to everything and try something. But it was terrifying.
And like Bianca said, you have a great Rolodex.
I do. I have a Rolodex because I worked in nightlife for so long. And people trusted me, and I wasn't the person who was just I never embarrassed myself working in nightlife. And because of that, I was able to take those clients that I met and transfer them into real estate.
And even on the show, it really, I think, comes through that you're very professional. You're not really in any type of drama.
I'm not.
Yeah.
That's not really, I'm not, you know what it is? I'm not
why I
a
love
dramatic
Mia.
person. I'm not a dramatic person. And I also grew up around all boys. So that's just naturally not who I am. I'm very calm, very even keeled. So I care about making money, doing my best, and just worrying about my business. That's it.
How difficult is it to sell in the Hamptons, right? Because usually it's probably older white men that's looking for properties. How difficult is that dealing with them? Do they respect you the same? Do you have to earn their respect? How difficult is that?
Although now y'all do have them crypto.
Yeah,
kids,
it's a different industry now. It's a different world because there's all this new money crypto people coming in, right? And they're going to look at us differently than someone who's the traditional 65-year-old white man who's looking to purchase in the Hamptons. He's going to be more open to working with someone like Bianca or myself. And also, I don't believe in that. I will kick down any door I have to get to where I want to be. I'm not going to let anyone tell me, no, well, this is not traditionally what you should be doing. Forget that. I don't care. If I know I deserve to be somewhere just as much as anybody else does, and I think Bianca feels the same way. And I'm not going to let a stereotype of what people think the Hampton buyer is or the Hampton agent is hinder me from being my best and outperforming.
But it's having that mindset and the resiliency to fight through it because there's undoubtedly, it's a male-dominated industry. We've all experienced that. And you do have to prove that you are deserving of that seat at the table. I feel like that every single time I walk into a room or a meeting or a pitch. But very quickly, with professionalism, with enthusiasm, and with truthfully knowing your shit, like that happens pretty quickly. You could change the dynamics in the room.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
As a woman myself, I will say when
You a
I was
woman?
looking for a home, Envy, you're not the only one.
Shut up.
When I was looking for my first home, Sara was the only woman realtor because I went through a lot of different realtors trying to find something. And I felt a connection immediately because it is a trust that you have to have with somebody. And so a lot of times people would try to just sell me anything because they wanted to get that commission. And so even if it wasn't like the best home, they would say, well, there's all these other offers being made and you can't really tell if it's true, what's not true. You don't ever want to feel rushed into making a decision. And Sara was definitely like, look, take your time. I don't think this is the right house for you. And I respected that right away because she knew what I was looking for. She would only show me things that reflected that, but then she also wouldn't try to sell me anything. And she would ask a lot of questions that maybe I wouldn't think to ask. And all those things are important because when I was buying my first home, I was really, really new. I didn't know what was going on.
I think all of us in this room are entrepreneurs. And when you look at, you don't think as most salespeople as being an entrepreneur. And there's a difference between a broker who's a salesperson and an entrepreneur. And the way you look at your business being short-sighted or long-term focus. The three of us have done such a great job of putting the relationship first.
Yes.
It's easy for the newer broker or for most brokers to say, oh, I just want the check at the end of the day. But building the relationship and that confidence and that trust is the core of what makes a good broker, because knowing that you have a client for life is much more powerful than closing one deal at one point in time. And
Absolutely.
I think
It's not about just the commission. For me, when I was shopping for Angela, it's like I'm spending my money.
Yep.
I value her hard work and where she wants to live, and I'm listening to her. And I heard the stories about the brokers who try to sell her stuff that an inspection won't even pass on that property. And I told her, I'm like, if you want to look for 2 years, I'm here, not going anywhere.
I was going to ask, I deal with a lot of real estate agents, and some of them are great and some of them are assholes. The ones that are usually assholes are usually because I feel like a real estate agent sometimes act like it's their home.
Yeah.
And there's a bouginess about it where it's just nasty and disrespectful. So when it comes to somebody coming into a property, let's say they're dealing with a real estate agent that they don't like, how can they change that real estate agent and stay with the same firm, A? And B, sometimes the qualifications, like let's say I'm looking for a house in the Hamptons, right? And the first thing you got to do is prove that you could actually afford it, so you have to send your paperwork. I've had different agents do different things, but those things sometimes offend me because I feel like, and maybe I'm sensitive, but I feel like they no, I'm serious. I feel like they only do that when somebody's in the music world or entertainment world or black, right? So like a house that I bought in New Jersey, went to the agent and I wanted to see the house, and I showed them what the qualifications for me, and then they wanted to see the money in the bank. I'm not showing you the money in the bank. I found that as disrespectful. I'm not showing you the money in my bank. Soon as that listing was off, I bought the house. I sent them a letter and told him to go fuck himself. But I just feel like, what can you do as a buyer to get around some of those things where you feel like things are against you because of maybe the color of your skin or what you work or one of those things? How can you stop that?
Well, that's super illegal, right?
Which part? Going in your bank account?
No, that's not.
It's just right now.
No, that's not. For proof of funds is not illegal, but if you feel like you're being discriminated against, that's illegal. That should never happen, right? That's being a terrible agent to make you feel like you're being discriminated against when you're shopping for a home. That's for most people the largest purchase someone will ever make, and to me one of the most important, right? The Hamptons, a lot of times that's someone's second home, but if this is your primary residence, that's the most important purchase you're ever going to make. And there's an emotional purchase. So to me, it sounds like you just had terrible agents that made you feel that way.
How do you prove discrimination, though? Okay, so let's just say that same agent asked everybody for proof of funds. Then that would mean it wasn't. But how do you prove that? So you know they didn't. Okay.
I know they didn't. But go ahead.
No, I'm just asking, how do you prove it? Like,
Well,
I think it's very hard to prove, but I think it's I think more focused on finding the right person. You have to interview a real estate broker like you're interviewing an attorney.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same. It's building your team. Who are you handling? Your financial advisor. You're not just going to go with the first person you meet. You're going to go with recommendations. Who your family has used, who your friends have used, who got the best deal. So I think really spending the time, we're used to being interviewed and winning over business. We actually respect and appreciate that more than just someone falling in our lap, because it means that person is taking the time to be serious about their purchase and who they want to work with, and we want to work with those people. So I think really going out to your network and seeing who have you worked with before, do your research about what they've closed, and having those candid conversations, because every single client you work with needs to be handled differently based on who's more sensitive than another person, who's more analytical than another person. So it's catering, making sure your broker can cater their style to your personality, but then also ultimately get you the best deal.
Now, dealing with men sometimes, how aggressive are men? Like, I was watching one of the reality shows, and I see a lot of times men get a lot of disrespectful when they deal with women realtors. Have you guys faced that at all? Somebody flirting with you, asking you out on a date, going a little too far. Have y'all
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think my first year, I was representing a house that I owned, and a broker walks in, and he basically said, "Do you go out to dinner with brokers?" I'm like, "No, I'm here to sell a house. I'm not here to fuck you." And that was the end of the conversation.
Did he buy the house?
No.
Goodness gracious. And what about you?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, it still happens all the time, but I think it's always maintaining the same level of professionalism, knowing where to draw the lines. You know, it's also, our business is very social, and it requires a lot of lunches and dinners and going out for drinks, because that's where you win most business, not in a conference room. And so making sure that you're very clear with your boundaries and the lines. And fortunately, I'm at a level, we're all at levels where we could say no to business that doesn't feel right. But I would say to agents and to women in the industry who don't have that level of confidence or experience or are concerned about their next paycheck or the deal, it's never worth it. Say no, because you will respect yourself and your business will grow tenfold if you maintain those lines and boundaries.
Now, what about you, man? I mean, you went from the nightlife, so I know you got it in nightlife. And now, because I'm sure.
Yes.
So how do you deal with it?
Just setting boundaries. I constantly have to set boundaries with people and say, I would never do this. I would never cross that line with a client. And if that's what you're looking for with me, it's never going to happen. So when you set those boundaries and you're very clear, people will fall back and just leave you alone because they're like, well, this is not what I'm going to get out of this person, so I need to move on. So when you're honest and clear and you don't dance around things like that, people understand and respect it.
Gotcha.
Now, what are some of the benefits of signing exclusively with a broker, where that's who you have to work with? What are some of the benefits for a seller and a buyer?
So you have to sign on with the brokerage. You have to hang your license somewhere, regardless. It's not like...
Oh, no, I mean, so if somebody's buying
with you.
and they only can, like, and you know how sometimes they want to lock you in,
Yeah.
and you have to only, like, list with, because we see that all the time. You guys are
Yeah.
pitching for someone who's selling their home, and you want to make sure that you have that listing exclusively. What are the benefits in that?
It's a level of commitment, right? It's like getting married. Like, I want to work with you and I want to fight every single day to make this happen. And for us, knowing that someone's working with us exclusively on the sales side, first of all, we could throw way more money at the marketing. If you're not doing that exclusively, I'm not going to open up my wallet and spend all this money to make sure you're getting the most exposure if any broker can close the deal. So it's a level of trust and companionship. And then for a buyer, it's knowing, like, I'm going to go out, I'm going to hit the streets every day, I'm going to bang on doors, I'm going to get you the off-market deals, or I'm going to negotiate the best I can for you because I know you're just working with me and you want to close this with me.
It also protects us as brokers. When a client comes in, we're representing that property. We're representing that client. There's no going around on the deal. We're presenting those offers. So I think that's also a benefit. And you know that you're hiring a professional to represent your property or represent you as a client.
It protects everyone in that situation, and it makes us want to work harder.
Yep.
Now, the market right now is hot as fish grease, right?
Insane.
They're talking about they're going to raise interest rates soon, right? So I'm the guy I need low. I need the guy that has to sell the property because they want to invest in something. I'm the guy that they just got a divorce and I can get that property for cheap.
You want some blood in the water.
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm patient for that guy, right? But let me ask you a question. With everything so high, right? And they're talking about raising interest rates. They're talking about, slowing down inflation. Is this a good time to buy? Now, I know you're real estate agents, and for y'all, every time is a good time to buy. But is this a good time to buy? Or are things too high? Do you think people should wait? Do you think people should, relax if they can? Should they stack and then hopefully, like the other market, when things start to drop, then you can start pick things up? What do you suggest for people?
Well, it really depends on your goal, right? If you're someone who's growing, and every single buyer is different. If you're someone who wants to be in the Hamptons this summer, you should buy right now because prices are going to keep going up. And next summer, you're going to buy at a premium to what this year was trading at because that market's not letting down at all. If you're someone who's looking to grow your family and in the next few years, you're going to have more kids and you need more bedrooms, There's no way around that. The kids are coming and you need the space. You should buy now. The market's getting stronger. If you're looking for the ultimate deal and you want to feel the pain on the other side, this probably isn't the right time to buy. But if you're really patient and you watch and you look, you will find those deals. You just need to look for them. It's not going out this weekend and pulling the trigger for those other two categories. But the deals do exist. You just need to know, okay, is it about return? Is it about, what's the appreciation going to be over time? It's what's the goal of this purchase, for where do you invest your money at what specific point in time?
Do you think it's going to drop, though? Because this is one of the highest I've ever seen. This is the fastest I've seen houses on market. Do you think it's going to start slowing down and things are going to become down a little bit?
The market will, of course, eventually correct. It always does. I don't know if it's not this year.
We don't
it's
have
not
a crystal
next
ball.
year. We don't have a crystal ball.
And I also think certain areas aren't going to. Like, I feel like Brooklyn
Brooklyn is not slowing
is
down.
not going
I
to.
think that's just going to continue to
Yeah.
increase the prices in Brooklyn.
And the Hamptons, I don't think is going to either.
No.
Has the Hampton ever went down? Maybe one time?
right.
Has it gone down?
Yeah, the Hamptons has had dips, but there's no supply now. And when there's it's just basic economics. When there's no supply, prices will stay up. And that's the same for most suburban markets. It's the same for a lot of the cities right now of what we're seeing in neighborhoods in Brooklyn. So you're always going to be competing with that, especially unless there's another global event that changes that, we're going to be in this cycle for a really long time.
And I find that a lot of people want things that are finished now because nobody wants to do
Yes.
construction because of the cost
Exactly.
and the time that it takes.
Yeah, people want turnkey because it's, like you said, construction costs are through the roof and materials are really difficult to get right now.
So what's the most expensive house that each one of you sold? Start with you, Sara.
Just closed the penthouse on the Upper East Side for $6 million.
$6 million. Nice.
a deal in the Hamptons for 40.
$40 million.
That's a nice commission.
Yeah.
That was a good commission.
That's a great commission. I'm like, Bianca, you're taking us to lunch. 6'5".
6.5. So $40 million. What's commission usually on a real estate agent? I'm just curious.
2.5%.
3%.
Goodness
And
gracious.
Bianca and I just signed an exclusive agreement for an $8.5 million loft in Soho, which
Which
very
will be coming
exciting.
very soon and is insane
Do you ever see things that you're like, I want to put a bid in on this?
all the time.
Yeah, but I don't have $8.5 million. I'm not there in my life yet. But
So
yes.
what happens as a broker if you want to put an offer in on something? Then how do you go about that? What are the rules for that?
I have never put an offer on a house. I don't own a home. Do you own your house?
Many homes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go off.
We've
Many
been investing
homes.
since we were my husband and I. We own an investment company. We've been investing in real estate in our early 20s, and we've owned our own brokerage. So I look for those deals the same way you're looking for those.
She
deals.
owns a house on my block I live on.
Exactly. I own
Really?
a family right down the block from Angela. So I'm always, as a broker, I'm not just looking at selling. I'm always looking for a deal that I can invest in, renovate, hold, or resell. So
You just have to disclose to the seller.
if I want to lock in a deal for myself, I don't go asking the seller's agent, "Hey, I want to co-broke with you." I'm coming in directly as your buyer. I know how to negotiate, and I want a discount on the property. So for me, it's not about the commission on a deal that I'm going in for myself.
Now, what about you, Bianca?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of disclosing it, but it's also treating brokers with the same respect we'd want to be treated with on the other side, coming to the table with the market value and the comps and proving your point. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to how badly do you want the home. There's going to be certain times you're going to overpay over the market, like we're seeing a lot right now in this market.
Yes.
But people get their heads wrapped up on you're overpaying. The reality is that's just the market. When you're seeing 40 people at an open house and bids are going $500,000 over ask, that's the market. The house is priced incorrectly. So it's just a matter of knowing your numbers and fighting for the deal and being ready to know what your upper limit is if you want that house.
Now, Bianca, I'm sure after we put this out there, somebody would like to know if you're single. $40 million at 3% is $1.2 million. I'm sure somebody would like to know if you're single.
You are such a bird, Envy.
I'm married. I'm just
I
asking.
know, but I'm saying, don't try to.
I get it. I would want to know too.
That
That's
I
a
would want to
legit
know
question.
too. I
That's
get
only
it.
one hobby.
I get it.
I am in
See,
a.
it's too many fellas out there. Hit in the DMs, fellas.
Ask me. Let's go to Mia. If
You
she's
might
there.
get Bianca.
They didn't ask me. They asked you.
What I love to hear about this, though, Bianca, is you talked about on the show your dad
Yes.
and your reputation.
Yes.
And your father did end up going to jail for embezzling, and he was in real estate as well, real estate development.
Yep.
And so you were concerned about how that would affect you.
Absolutely.
But how did it affect you? Because it seems like right now it's still red hot for you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was very hard to talk about on the show. It was the first time I've ever publicly talked about it, but ever since then, it's almost been kind of liberating because it's been like a scarlet letter I've lived with for a very long time. I'm in the development world, so who knows about this? Who doesn't? Who feels comfortable with me as their broker and being concerned that I would be judged for my father's actions, and being able to see the response, not only from people on social media and people who watch the show, but from my biggest developer clients who have said, wow, that was very powerful of you to talk about. And now I understand why you fight so hard for us and why you understand that every dollar matters and that you treat our projects like they're yours, is because I am very emotionally attached. Like Sara said, we treat our clients' wallets like they're our own and their projects. And just trying every day and continuing to be the best person I can for my clients and to build my brand and a reputation that can be strong and untarnished by that.
Did you ever have a conversation with your dad about that, or no?
Absolutely. It's very difficult. And I think I don't want to really talk too much about him, but talking about how it's affected me.
Are y'all still cool? Y'all still speak? Or y'all,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ups. Families are difficult.
That's still your dad at the end of the day. So that's what I'm asking.
Absolutely. But, I grew up my whole life that your reputation is everything.
Correct.
So everyone in this room knows that. So to have that feel like it's been taken by someone else who wasn't you, that may have just been a mental construct that I had in my own mind. I don't know if that was reality, but, everyone knows about the story now. And it's just to embrace it and to recognize people go through trauma and hardship, and it has made me a much, much stronger person on the other side of that, and embracing that and being able to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you this. I saw this happen on the show, too. If somebody puts in an offer that's really low, you still bring it to the seller, right? Do you ever have to say, I don't even think we should bring that? Like, I don't even know if we should present that offer because it's just disrespectful.
Or you mean when Peggy was talking at Duck Pond? Or who
I think
did
somebody
that?
had already made like a $6.4 million offer on this home, and then another person, she
Glass House.
had an offer for the glass
it was the
house
Glass
for
House.
$5
Yes,
million.
yes.
But it was $5 million cash.
Yep.
But it is, that is a lot lower, and it is a competitive market.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on that? Do you try to get them to come up before you present it, or how does that work?
Legally, we have to present every offer that's put in front of us, but yes.
You do
We
have
broker the deal.
Yeah, we broker the deal. We do have a conversation prior to submitting with the broker on the other end, because you want to tell them and guide them that this is a low offer. You need to come up so we can present, and we will present the offer. But sometimes it's just too low to give a counter to what they're submitting.
But you have to submit it.
You have to submit.
I say to people all the time, listen, if you're just looking to throw shit against the wall and see what sticks, I'll present the offer. If you actually want the house, let's start at a respectable starting price point so we could have a real conversation and dialogue that I could present.
Y'all
And I
would
think-
hate me as a client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I throw shit on
You
the
throw
wall.
shit
and
on the
and
wall?
stick.
We already know,
Throw
Envy.
10 shits on the wall. One of them gonna stick.
I'm all for that if you're okay with losing some deals, because
That's
you're
all
going to
right.
lose some. But then when you get the one, you're like,
Home
oh,
run.
yeah.
It's that 1.2 million.
That's it.
That 1.2.
Is it hard to work with a client like Envy then, where he's going to be giving these shit offers?
I think you just have to manage people's expectations.
Yes.
Just you know what you're dealing with. Just manage your expectations.
Right.
And if we understand this is what I'm doing, I'm just throwing shit up against the wall. If I know that and you know that, okay, now we know where we stand.
I would pass him on to like a junior person.
Yeah.
Right?
I wouldn't pass you along. If you want to work with me, I'll take good care of you.
I'm that type of person. Like, if one of you called and say, Envy, I got this great deal, da-da-da-da-da, the house needs a little TLC, but in a couple of years it's going to be this, Absolutely. I would take it. But if you saw me say, Envy, I got a deal, it's retail prices is going, I'm like, I pass. That's just me because I know what I want. I know what I'm looking for. I know what I need, you know. And I don't need to be anywhere. Like, you know, some people are like, I need to be by the water. I'll wait my chance. I'll wait. You know, I'm calm. I'll wait. So I was going to ask, you know, for people that's looking to sell their homes, right? What is the thing that they should do? Maybe they don't have a lot of money to get more money for their house. You know, how can you help somebody that's looking to get more money for their house, sell a house and get some extra bread?
I think doing minor fixes, cosmetic fixes, they can make all the difference. Yep. You know, I've walked into some homes, I'm just like, if they would have just painted, it would have made a difference. If they would have gotten rid of some of this furniture that makes it look so cluttered, you know, it makes a huge difference when people are shopping for a home. Not everyone has that vision to walk into a house and they can look in a white box and say, I want to put my couch here. And not everyone has that vision.
How important is staging? How important is it?
It's very important. It makes such a big difference because not everyone has that vision that can walk into a blank space and say, this is exactly how I'm going to have my dream house set up. So staging is really important. But if you're not going that option of staging, make those minor cosmetic tweaks. That's going to make a huge difference when you're selling your house.
I see some firms are now also actually paying for some renovations for people to help it sell at a higher price, right? Is that something that you see happening now?
Absolutely. We try to be creative in every way we can. Some firms have official programs for doing that.
That's good.
I think our motto, though, and method has been is we have to put our money where our mouth is. And if we know that a certain action is going to yield a better return on a home, we will spend the money and take the time to do it because we know it makes all the difference when it comes to painting, when it comes to cleaning, when it comes to if you need to retile or regrout, all of those things, making a home feel more clean and as pristine as possible. People want to feel like it's been unlived in.
Yeah.
Which is why staging works. So even if you have 4 kids, you know, you have to spend it. That's how you will get the more money. It may be an inconvenience, but you will see the dollar amount difference.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations, guys, on all that you guys are doing. I'm so happy. My daughter's actually, I didn't force her, but she's in real estate class right now, NYU. She goes to NYU, so she's studying real estate.
For her.
So hopefully she can take daddy's business over. That's what I'm hoping. I'm going to make all my kids at least get it. And I tell everybody now, this is the easiest time to get your real estate license because you can take your classes online. You don't have to leave. You don't have to go to a class. You can take it online, and it's the easiest time. So I tell anybody, if you're thinking about it, get your license.
But you still got to take that test in person.
You still got to take that test in person, but I'm in the process now. I've been going through the classes, but I'm in the process now. I'm going to get mine as well.
It's tedious, but you'll do it. Yeah.
Sarah told me it was easy.
It is easy.
Some parts of it are really easy, and some parts of it, I'm like, I do not understand all of this when it comes to like the chemicals in the house. And I was like, this is a lot. And then they have certain parts where you have to do math to figure out. And it's not things that you'll really necessarily have to use as a realtor, but you'll need to be able to refer them or have some type of like fundamental
Absolutely. But
knowledge.
it's like anything. It's just learning something new and just practice. And anything new is always going to feel uncomfortable. But as long as you believe in yourself and you really want something and just see it through, you're going to be fine.
What's the craziest thing you guys dealt with? I always talk about this. It was 2 crazy houses. One had a crackhead passed out in the house when I purchased it. And the other one, I call it the shit house. It was just shit everywhere. Like, I guess the person who was sleeping there just decided not to go to the bathroom and was just on the floor. But I made the biggest...
Not in the Hamptons.
No, not in the Hamptons. But I made the most amount of money on both of those properties because nobody else wanted to touch those properties. I don't care. But what was the craziest thing you've seen selling a house or anything like that? You sold some stuff in Brooklyn, so I know you sold...
I saw all the heroin needles and basements and mattresses and... hoarder houses completely destroyed.
You ever see those? I'll take them. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, I've seen a lot in my 10 years of sales.
What about you?
Actually, a few weeks ago, there's a lot of crazy stories, but this one's sticking out. I'm working with a client to buy a building right now in the city. And we go to tour the building, and squatters took over it. And there was 40 squatters in the building who had been living there for months.
And it's hard to get them out in New York.
Oh,
Jersey's way easier.
We had police, ambulance, fire trucks coming, banging down the doors. And eventually we're like, okay, we're going to leave. We're going to let the authorities take care of this, and we're going to come back another day. But there's about 40 people living in the building.
Sheesh.
I had to deal with that one.
And-
I had to pay them to leave.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I'm buying a house, but they don't leave, and then they got time, and I'm like, I'll pay you to leave.
The house that I live in now, there were squatters in there before the developer bought it, and
Yep.
he had to get all of them out, and then
Yep.
you have to pay all the bills
Yeah.
that hadn't been paid.
And it's not easy to get them out.
No.
It's a process.
No, New York.
We
New
see
York
a
is
lot
very.
of that.
They
Yeah.
they
We see a
cater
lot
to
of that.
squatters in New York City.
Yeah.
What about you, man?
I was showing a house in Brooklyn that someone wanted to renovate. And I walk in, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. When I tell you, it was like a farm in that house. And then they had the audacity to say, do you mind taking off your shoes too? I was like, my shoes?
I refuse.
My shoe. It was literally the filthiest house I've ever been to. And they asked me to take my shoes off. That to me was like, because I'm a bit of a germaphobe, like I walk that fine line. I was outdone.
So you got bed bugs that day.
Oh my God. Bed
How many
bugs.
showers did you take when you got home?
Bianca knows I will take 3 showers a day. That was one of those days where
a
I was
clean
like,
day.
on a clean day.
clean day.
On a clean day. I was so outdone. Like I'd never seen anything like that before. There was like fruits and vegetables all over the floor, like 4 dogs. It was
stay
wild.
healthy.
And you had to take your shoes off.
When I asked me to take my, that was
no sense.
That was pretty wild.
Well,
I
everybody,
actually almost bought a house in Brooklyn, Sarah. Remember, there were 13 people that made offers on this house,
Yeah.
and she actually got me the house, right?
Wow.
Yeah, she went really hard for me. But the problem was they did have a tenant, and they were saying they would give me the house, but they wouldn't make the tenants leave.
Yep.
And I didn't. And Sarah was like, "You don't want to have that issue of having to."
Yeah. Because the tenant was Section 8.
Yeah.
And there are very different procedures to evict someone on
Very
Section
difficult.
8.
I don't do
So
no
I didn't
Section
want
8 in my
Angela to buy a
buildings.
house and she's going to get stuck with a tenant paying below market value while her mortgage is through the roof, and she's going to be in the red every month for like 2 years until you find that person a place to leave.
and not only that, any
During a
complaint with
pandemic,
Section
During
8,
especially.
during
Yeah.
a pandemic,
and any
it's
complaint
very
with
difficult.
Section 8, they don't have to pay.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I've dealt with that too.
Yeah.
Story.
So we walked away from that one.
Lots of stories.
But
It hurt
that's
my
what's-
heart, but we.
I know.
Yeah, but that's why it's important to have a good broker that understands that and can have that conversation and manage your expectations, right? Like, I know you love this property, but this is what you're getting yourself into.
But you understand, like, what Angela bought, her first brownstone, when I showed it to her, it was just 4 walls. You saw from the roof down
remember.
to the
I
basement.
couldn't even walk inside.
And I said, listen, this is great. By the time that house was completed, I think the value went up $500,000. Yeah,
That's great.
in 9 months.
And now it's, by the way, doubled. Well, more than doubled in value. So
Wow,
it was a
congratulations.
great purchase. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So give them all your Instagram and how can people get in contact with you guys?
I am Sara Golan BK on Instagram.
Bianca D'Alessio on all social media. So
Mia G. Calabrese.
All right.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it.
I
And if you're looking
enjoyed
for
this.
some
If I want
properties-
something in the look, and by the way, I did not know they had houses for $4 or $5 million in the Hamptons.
Oh, yeah, for beautiful.
I always thought everything was. I saw the $35 million one.
you ain't gonna be on the water, Yee.
No, they are on the water.
No, you can
$4 million?
Yes.
Yeah.
On the bay, you could get some beautiful homes for $4 million. in
And
the
brand new
Hamptons.
ones,
Yeah,
too.
new construction.
$4 million.
We're
Yeah.
going shopping now.
All right,
I think we have
we'll
a
see.
deal for you.
Yeah,
Envy, are you moving out to the Hamptons?
we'll see. We'll
He
see.
might get a second home, you know.
We'll see. We'll see. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.